everybody. Hope you all are having a fantastic day. Um, I just wanted to get on and talk for a little bit. I'm actually going to go outside in a little bit, but I just wanted to talk for a second. I got a little cat sitting here with me. But Europe. So I was actually going to go to bed. I was playing Diablo for a few hours, Diablo Immortal for mobile, and I noticed that I guess Europe is throwing brutal riots or protests. I wouldn't call it a protest because it seems like riots. This one group of people was jumping and smashing somebody's car. Another group, they were throwing like smoke bombs and hollering and throwing stuff at police. The stuff is going viral. So the reason I'm bringing all this up is, you know, I heard Sarah talking about it and a couple of YouTubers from the UK. But the thing that I thought was hilarious was I didn't exactly know what they were talking about at first or what they were protesting. So I'm listening to Sarah's video on YouTube. His name is Sara, and you guys can look him up. But so I was listening to Sarah talk on YouTube, and I guess the reason they're protesting is because they want all of the people of color out of Europe. So I couldn't believe what I was hearing at first. I thought maybe I was hearing things and shit. So come to find out it is. I guess all these, they're calling them far right, but I don't think that's far right. See, they're trying to mix politics into racism. And while I'm not the best, while I don't exactly agree with the far right or the far left with some of the things they do, that's not far right. That's Nazism and racism. They're protesting and having violent riots about kicking all people of color out of Europe. That's why Sarah was upset because he made a video explaining how he's not an immigrant and they asked his grandparents to come here, so now he deserves to be here. But I don't care why somebody's in a country if they're not violent. And so the irony to me is that while they're talking about kicking all people of color out of Europe in certain spots in England, I think that's funny because the people who are being violent are the people that are protesting and throwing riots. So I just thought to myself, that's crazy because how can people not like somebody because of the skin of their color or their culture? If somebody's not bothering you, it's the same thing with the LGBTQ. People will go out and find these people and start preaching scriptures to them and attacking them. And it's like, why do y'all do that stuff? You know what I mean? The day and age we live in now, there's technology, there's things to do, video games, music, streaming, all types of stuff to do. But what do people do? They want to go get in these big groups. Let's leave our houses, go form a big group, and instead of having a good time, they're like, oh, let's go attack other people. For what though? Can somebody help me understand what is gained from that? I don't see any gain from it. I'm the type of person, I like to enjoy my time. I like to meet new people. There's a guy in his truck making videos, and the titles are confusing because they say angry, angry man in truck veteran complaining about something, but he's a hardcore, I wouldn't even call him a liberal. I call him a good person. And so he's just explaining how all this politics and all this foolishness is silly. Because you see what they're doing is they're trying to create left, right, they're trying to create religious versus religious, and none of it is relevant. None of it is relevant in the sense that the religions may be true to the beholder, and that's fine. But what ends up happening is we love something so much that it causes people to attack sometimes. I'm noticing a lot of people saying, I'm the Christ. Okay, that's saying, you got the spirit. But then when other people say it, they get mad and they're like, nobody's ever listening and blah, blah, blah. That's a representation of people just wanting to hold something special and feel like it's only special to them. So then they attack other people when they don't give reverence to their beliefs. Sometimes people will call it their pagan, their idol, but none of that is really true because we all have something we believe in. It's honestly just people fighting each other. So the idea that in 2024, a whole bunch of people in Europe are rioting, telling people of color, telling immigrants, because I know Europe's got a huge Hindu population, Arabic population, a bunch of different cultures. And so here's the idea. A whole bunch of people in Europe and in different countries in the Middle East came and decimated a continent, Africa. Now, after the continent has been decimated and destroyed, and it's really like not worth living in. Now, when I say that, okay, let's say you have a natural people living in their environment and they have the resources of the land and all this other stuff. But then when corporations come and dig out trenches and create polluted lakes and steal all these resources and diamond mines and gold mines, then the place is uninhabitable. Like, I'll give you an example. If you look at this neighborhood that I'm in, if you take away all the city blocks, I mean, if you take away all the concrete and everything, it's like trees and grass and stuff everywhere, like a natural environment. But see, like what they did to Africa, like in Nigeria, there's a lake town, and these people live on all this polluted water. But if it wasn't for those corporations, there'd be no polluted water, there'd be fresh plants and animals, and the environment would be there. And so, what I'm saying is, these people are destroying continents and countries, and then when people go to their places because it's nice, because they don't want to destroy their stuff, then they're like, why are all these immigrants coming? If Africa and these other countries were built up in the Middle East and other places that weren't slums, they wouldn't want to come to your countries. This is what I'm trying to get people to understand. There's a wise man who talks a lot on these videos talking about us versus them, and nobody knows the biblical solution and all that. And he's telling the truth, because it's not about having this God or this religion. I'm still seeing people, the Messiah is going to come and the Ultra Rebbe. You don't need all that stuff. If you want a Messiah, be a better person. And you can be a Messiah. I'm not saying you wasn't. What I'm saying is, imagine this. Imagine if everybody became nice people like a Messiah. Then the whole world would be a Messiah's world. That would be a paradise. But the problem is when people try to be a holy, and they'll get attacked by current religions. Because I'll give you an example. If you go up to people that don't know nothing about religion and you start talking super wise and intelligent and giving them life advice and spiritual advice, they'll probably accept you like, oh, you're smart, you're wise, but you go to people that's expecting a God or something to happen, and it seems like they're the angriest. Now, I'm not saying that they even want to be like this, you know what I mean? A lot of times we've been grown up in these religions, like me personally, take my life. I was raised in hardcore Christianity, so as I was getting older, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of bigoted toward the LGBTQT. I was one of the people that's like, oh, God says we're not supposed to get God. But as I got older and older and older, I started to realize, what am I doing? It's no purpose to this. It's just a religious culture trying to attack other people to make them seem more valid. So, I don't like people attacking each other the way it's been going on, because you got to imagine, take some little young Caucasian kid in Europe, and they don't know nothing about none of this. Now all they see is people in the streets dancing and screaming and hollering and throwing stuff. Their image of their own people is going to be distorted, just like African Americans in America. After all this stuff that's happened to our culture, now you look at young African Americans and they don't want nothing to do with being African American or hate the skin they're in and all this stuff. It's because the civilizations are doing this. Even take LGBTQT. All they want to do is live their life. But every time they try to connect with people and try to get to know people, it's like everybody wants to attack them and treat them different. And so, you know what I mean? Like, people really in Europe doing this whole kick all black people and Indians and Arabs out. That's like unbelievable to me. I don't understand why people still doing this, you know what I mean? And what makes it even worse, you still got people like Candace Owens and the Hodge twins, and they just won't stop. They just don't listen. And so anybody that does watch my videos or anybody else's videos, you know what I mean, what I tell people is to protect yourself, your mind. If you're watching content and you're getting into communities and groups and you see them talking crazy, or you see them doing harmful things and all that other stuff, then just let it go and watch something else, or be around a community who isn't hurtful. Because it doesn't matter what community you're in, if you don't have the right type of heart, you're in the same boat that all these other people are in. Or should I say, you're outside of the boat trying to swim through concepts. And so, not people watch, I'm saying it's better to have a good heart, because I don't know what could influence people to behave like this. Kicking all the people of color out of Europe. What are you going to do with that? What do you guys expect? So this is also what I want to tell people. A lot of times there's a shade of inconvenience over people's eyes. And so they're making it seem like everybody's immigrants. But if you really pay attention to the population of Europe, and the population of America and the numbers of people on this earth, it's like you guys are really Caucasians are the minority, and people are trying to come into the cultures and the civilization, and people are kicking them out and treating them like bad humans. And so when there comes a time when all that power is lost and all that cushion is lost, then the only thing you're going to have is other people to help you. And after all these thousands of years of the history of what's been going on with Europe, because I'll give you an example. We can watch Farrakhan and hear Farrakhan say stuff like white devils and all that, and all these other people who are angry. And I'll be like, okay, yeah, that's messed up. If I was a white dude, I wouldn't want nobody to call me a devil. But at the same time, then as I continue to live my life, there's a certain population that's causing massive colonialism, massive conquering, and massive colonization. Okay, so even if we bring up Europe and World War II and all that and the Holocaust, it was all Caucasian, man. I don't know how else to explain this, but the reputation of everybody else in the world is bad, and that comes from a lack of education. Because the older I get and the more research I do on Africa, it was a utopia at one point in time. It was beautiful. And when I did history and learned about what some of these names and civilizations actually were doing, it's crazy to me that the people that they make seem like monkeys and devils are the forefronts of civilization and the ones that were inventing a lot of things actually. And so I guess I can't say that it's surprising at this point in life, because a lot of things are not what they appear to be. And so it's just hard to concentrate if you get lost and let other people guide you. Even you may hear a lot of people saying all the times that only God can lead and only Christ can lead and only, well, if you pay attention to that, let's say you go to church and you learn all this stuff from your pastor. Well, then when you leave the church after learning all this stuff from your pastor, you run into an altercation, but you're by yourself. The pastor's not there with you anymore. So now you have to deal with that situation. And that's with everything in life. Just like my teachers at school. I could listen to my teachers and they taught me valuable things. But some of my teachers might be undercover racists. Some of my teachers might be undercover psychopaths. I'm not with them all the time. And at the same time, even if they're not those things, they're not with me when I'm alone and I have to make my own decisions. If you pay attention to the Matrix, he was around the two most wise people in the system, the architect and the oracle. And no matter how much information they had, they could not map his future because he was human and he could choose things at random. Our choices. The same thing dealing with Star Wars. You had Anakin and then you had Luke. Even with Anakin going to the dark side, the ultimate dark side, he was still redeemed. Vader. In the end, he helped his son. So, you know, a lot of times when I talk about heroes and stuff, instead of hearing me talk about biblical characters, you'll hear me talking about like Captain Planet and Peter Pan and Robin Hood. You know what I mean? And so that's where intellect and discernment comes from. I don't believe in robbing people, so I respect thou shalt not steal. But at the same time, Robin Hood is a character. Robin Hood is a character conceptualizing how sometimes you have to go outside of the box and defend yourself and help the weak. And so, you know, it's just about discernment, but it's also about a lot more. Understanding the right type of wisdom, not following psychopaths, talking about make America great again and kick all the Browns out of Europe. You got to have discernment, you know what I mean? Because ultimately, you don't have to have anything. A lot of people, the most happiest people in life are ignorant. And when I say ignorant, I don't mean like violent ignorant. I mean people that don't know certain things, because knowledge comes with a great weight. And so sometimes being ignorant can be a good thing. You know what I mean? Just about the things that we're ignorant to. That's why it's good to know what can cause harm or not, because ultimately you don't want to cause harm to others. That's with anything. Causing harm to, a lot of times also, if you have a certain type of lifestyle and people are attacking you, if you're not causing harm, then it doesn't matter. What they're doing is they're projecting their feelings onto you, and then they're making you feel bad for wanting to live a certain lifestyle. Because there's societal bars in society. And when I say that, I just simply mean just like how there's houses all around this block and there are houses everywhere. Now think of each of us like a house. And sometimes people like to enter into other people's houses, and what they'll do is they'll attack and accuse them while they're in their own house. And so that's just a metaphor explaining how Sometimes people are attacked for being themselves. And so that's why oneself has to be the strong one and be with themselves. You know, a lot of times what they don't talk about King David felt condemned. They talk about how he was the most loved by the Lord, but nobody ever talks about his condemnation. And when he was in his condemnation is when he was the strongest, because he had to stay strong and stick with himself. That prophet Nathan came and lit him on fire, spiritually speaking, with his words. And so then he had to atone for that, and he still stayed strong to the end. He even got a little youngin to lay in his bed with him. Okay, that's just a little, that's not a joke because that's actually in that book. But what I'm saying is, a lot, like they'll say, King David was the righteous one. But did y'all know that once his wife died and all the other stuff, he went and lay with a young woman until his old age? Did you know that Solomon had 800 wives, but they called them kings? I'm not telling y'all to go find prostitute. Judah slept with a prostitute against his wife and had twins. Abraham had like 3 or 4 wives. So did Isaac and Israel, or so did Israel. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Don't let people condemn you all the time. Sometimes you need to hear something, but sometimes people are just running their mouths. And so that's why a lot of groups exist, because when people come together, they punish people that don't do their will. And so people say, okay, let me stick with this group. Let me stick with this little pact so I don't get harmed. They treat it like a pack of wolves. If you don't listen to what the pack leader says, they won't give you no meat that night to eat. And so sometimes you got to be stronger than that pack and go build your own pack. Some people are what's called lone wolves or black sheep. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do in life. You know what I mean? And when I say that, I'm not talking about causing harm or anything. But will I accuse a starving man of stealing bread? That's a algorithm. That's an allegory. That's to get you to think. Like, you know what I mean? So, but at the same time, I also tell people about common sense. We live in a world where you can help somebody and they might try to rob you or something. You know what I mean? So you just gotta, like I said, I won't be there with you at all times. But if I am there with you, let me be a guide or a strength and not condemn you. You know what I mean? So Europe, I really hope you guys get it together, because America seems to be having sense. The new picks, Kamala and Tim, really liking that. That's real nice. He seems like a really nice guy. I've listened to him talk a couple times and he seems down to earth. Trump and JD Vance, all of a sudden I'm here all this, because I'm going to say something funny. I said my name's going to start getting glorified, just like talking about the I am. But I told people my name is JDB, and I said B used to be V. Then all of a sudden, I said I was going to be Couch 2024 because I'm tired of these political systems. Then all of a sudden, JD Vance comes out and they start calling him a couch F-word, a couch fucker. I thought that was funny. I thought it was hilarious. So, if and also talking about thou shalt not steal, like if I say thou shalt not steal, there's something deeper than that, than just thou shalt not steal. So sometimes a man will come and be a prophet or a great man, and a man will do great things. But sometimes people steal their legacy. Sometimes people steal their words and stuff, and then they act like they're a king. And then what they'll do is they'll use those words to oppress other people. And so that's why I keep telling people, build your Jerusalem. Watch. Sometimes you might want to watch psychological videos. Sometimes you might want to watch philosophy videos. Sometimes you might want to listen to different preachers that have common sense, that are sweet and kind. They're the workers building you up, but ultimately you're the foreman, because you're allowing what needs to be built into a temple. And so, you know, the mind can be renewed easily. At the same time, it's hard, but it can be easily done. It just takes the will to want to do it. I will become a better person. I will do the right thing. I will blah, 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 blah. But if I make mistakes, I know that I am not perfect and I am only learning. Stuff like that. Something else I want to talk to people about. I heard somebody talking on a panel, on Yehuda's panel, I think that's his name. And they were asking, how do I change my friends? How do I heal my friends? I want to heal them. And like I tell people, sometimes, and Yehuda said something smart. He said, words are only half the battle, which is actually deeper than that, but I agree. You get the words, and then depending on how they accept the words, that's what happens. But a lot of times, it's not about you changing people. It's about you living your life still, and if they like the way you live, you rub off on them. So I could go up and tell somebody, you know, it's about the word and spirit. When I heard the phrase, I am who I am sent me, I then began to realize that we're putting names on stuff, and it's about the words we use in our actions. Well, they'll hear that and be like, no, it's about this and that, and God's the great and Jesus. So I'll be like, okay, everybody's got their own opinion. We can continue talking about this, or we could talk about something else. So then, let's say we talk about something else, and then we get into gaming or music or something, and totally forget about what we was just talking about. Then when the person leaves, oh man, that Juan dude, cool, man, I like him. We can hang out more. Or, man, I told you it's about the I am, and I said Jesus is this, that. Man, I'm gone, sorry, dude, you lost. Okay. And now we fighting each other. You see what I'm saying? So, it's good to have pride and ego in certain aspects of life. I'm prideful about helping others. I'm prideful about wanting to do the right things a lot of times, and I'm prideful about just overall trying to be a kind person. But I know in my pride, sometimes that don't happen because people don't like to conform to my way. But see, I have logic and understanding to know that it's not about people listening to me all the time. And all I can do is be a light. And so, I've been reading about Elijah and Elisha and the prophets, but not in a sense to where it can hurt me. You know what I'm saying? I advise people when they read that book, when you see the Lord or God say who I am or that which I am, you don't have to, but I'm telling people what happens when you put something higher over you that you don't have control over, it can then control you. And so that's why I tell people to be careful when reading that book. And if you're going to read it like the Most High. Because if you're reading it like the Most High, he's in the temple, so you're not blaspheming his name. You're giving him back his power, so to speak. But I try to teach y'all, in power comes responsibility, and we all have the Spirit of the Lord. And so if somebody starts reading that book like, I'm Elisha, you came to my mountain, I wouldn't recommend people taking that type of spirit. Now, if you want that type of spirit on inside, okay, now look, watch TV, you're going to fail, you're going to perish. Look at how your parents are treating you. You will not overpower me, get behind me, Satan. Now that's on the inside, and it's like an fun. So now it's being tormented. Oh, I can't do anything. Super Saiyan, no weapon formed against me, spirit bomb. See, that just went from torment to now I'm joking and I'm having fun. Now, which state of a man do you want to be? Do you want to be a coward, totally afraid all the time? Or do you want to enjoy life? So when I say that, I know things can be scary sometimes. The temples that have been built so far have been full of torment. And I'm not saying this to be a racist or a bigot, but the current situation of the current religion, the Greco-Roman Christianity and Catholicism, has been from Europe. And now, so if you pay attention to how the spirit of subservience works, now instead of them learning to be free and having the freedom of the word and being built up, it's always been about a king, worship or die. So now in this day and age, when people don't follow certain laws, you see how they get manhandled and jumped on? That's no different than people breaking the Pharisees' laws. When people wouldn't follow those religious teachings and politics, they would try to attack them. Now look at it in this day and age. You don't follow Trump or somebody, even Biden. I've seen people on the left side go absolutely insane over politics. So that type of stuff isn't worth it. You know what I mean? You're harming yourself and others because you might feel like you're winning, but ultimately you get all anxious and you don't even see it. That types of behaviors can cause heart attacks, strokes, all types of stuff. But people are so energetic, so fiery that we don't see it. Me, myself, there'll be sometimes I get so mad at my girlfriend, hollering and stuff. And then afterwards, after all the shit I just said, oh man, I don't want her to go. Oh man, I can't believe I just said that. Oh man, I'm sorry. Now she's got the power with me. Remember that time you said you'll go get a girl? And I'm like, oh my fucking goodness, why did I say that? Now think about that with everyday life. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm about to say something. I regret talking about Judaism and stuff but I'm gonna explain why. Because there's a lot of Jewish people out there, and they have been caught in religion and everything else. Do they need another guy stomping them over the head saying, look what you all did to transgress the Lord God? They don't need that stomp type of stuff over their head. But at the same time, I try to explain to people I'm doing this to pull religion out, to pull people who are terrified out. And so if people are trying to find a proper way or a light, and they can, they're like, I'm tormented by God and Jesus and Israel and the Yahweh and all this other stuff. Well, I keep telling y'all, my name is JB and I come with the I am, but I'll tear that shit out the sky. I'll tear myself out the sky to help you all. That's the living sacrifice. Some people come up to me, you're not the Christ, you're a dumb pig. Yeah, I might get mad, but I'm not finna say, oh, the Lord God brings fire down, you're gonna go to hell. I'm going to assess the situation and go from there. If a person truly does piss me off, you won't see me still talking to them. I promise you, it's just not my character. I'm going to leave. That's just how I work. I'll see people in speaker's corner get pissed off. And it's like, okay, bro. I mean, if you harming kids and stuff, yeah, I get that pissed off, or harming women. But over biblical concepts, I feel like that's a hit and a miss. It's just going to cause people to get mad and attack each other. So, me personally, when life gets too hard and there's a lot going on, I like to go on walks. If I still have my car, sometimes I go down, like I would like to go down to the lake and do stuff like that and just relax. But I think this is a good time in my life to be brought back down low again and remember, because you know what, I tried to fill out unemployment today. My car company actually called me and they were calling for the payment this month. And I was telling them what happened. I lost my job. A lot of weird stuff's been going on. And they were like, since you've been truthful with us and talking to us, you might have a couple people calling you, but don't worry about it. We know your situation. You talk to us. So, you know, I got a job interview at this place coming up this coming Tuesday, flipping burgers. But I'm humble, you know what I mean? And the way even I look at it spiritual now. I'm in a kitchen. I might be in a kitchen flipping burgers. So now I'm cooking up for the world. And so when I say that, I look at that spiritual now, like when all the prophets was cooking meals and stuff and they served it to the people. I told y'all, as long as I'm making money to take care of me and my family and stuff and pay my bills, I never understood that. I love all these pretty corporate buildings and stuff. They're beautiful. But it's just not, I don't get it. Because what do all rich people do once they get too rich? I want to go travel. I want to see beaches. I want to go here. I want to go there. The buildings become irrelevant after 10. I was even watching a man in a video or a music video, and he was in a super cool Camaro or a car. But he was in the video getting drunk, like, ooh. And it's like, none of the car and stuff, yeah, it looks cool for 10 seconds. But what's that car? It's just sitting there now. It can travel places. You know what I mean? It's about finding the true beauty in life. If this was my perfect civilization utopia, all the neighbors would be outside all the time, just hanging out and talking to each other. We'd be cooking out all the time. We'd all on the block eat. Maybe if we do work, we work together. I don't know, dude. Maybe it's just a pipe dream. But my life is my dream. And so I dream of the things that I love. And I love helping people. I've never been the type of person, I don't care how strong of a religion I'm in, even if I'm religious, I've never been the type of person that just wants to harm people with my words and tell them that they're going to pay for something. That is not cool at all. I don't think, especially with like if you guys would have made hell like a 10, and that's symbolic, 10 years, 10 commandments. If you would have made hell like moderate, there's some fire, 10 years and you get out. Even with purgatory, at least with purgatory, there ain't no issue, you're sitting there. But the concept of hell is the most brutal, satanic thing I've ever heard. To be on constant fire forever and never be able to escape, that is the most opposite of the Prince of Peace ever. It's mental penetration. And I've told you, most people that are dealing with mental illness always talk about the Bible. They say they don't want to go to hell. They don't want to be punished by God. They're terrified of missing the mark. And they talk about all these demons and stuff that they hear and stuff. It's all punishments. There's even all types of scriptures that say, perfect love casts out fear, for fear causes torment. If we are afraid, it's for fear of punishment and judgment. We do not fear judgment because we live like the Lamb in this world, which is perfect peace. And so when I say that, like, people hear me say love your neighbors and stuff and love people, and I think this is what they think I'm talking about. Oh, hello, Brother Biscuits. Let's get some gravy today and hug a tree. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, especially as a man, when you get older, you're going to get cranky. You're going to start to get irritated. When I was 18, I could go into a bar and club and all the funny, stupid stuff, spilling beer. Now, if I walk in my house and spill beer, I get pissed off. So it's just like life changes. So I'm not saying I'm some violent, angry person. I'm saying the battle comes from when I get pissed off. Juan, control yourself. Look on the outside in and look what you're doing. That type of stuff, the inner voice that helps me guide throughout the day. And so Life is the most beautiful anomaly because this is life. But a lot of people try to make it miserable. You as a person, whoever you are, stay strong. That all they can attempt to do is try to break you down. There's actually a lot of painful things they can do to people other than like taking all their income and stuff away. You see what they're doing with these celebrities, where they're telling LeBron to shut up and dribble and telling Kyrie not to share links on YouTube. Because when I think of a fascism or a oppressive government, I think of like people telling people what they can't do, the laws and stuff. And when you have laws that say you can't share a YouTube post for a video or an Amazon link, like to me, I guess, I don't know what I'm saying. Like it just gets to a point where people are trying to enslave us in concepts. So, you know, England, Europe, you're not, the whole kick all the black people thing out, you're not going to prosper with that. And I keep saying, I will destroy the Pope and I will destroy Judaism in Europe if they keep playing. And that's coming from the spirit. Certain things I say, they just come out because Europe has been enslaving Africans for like over 400 or 500 years now. And what Belgium and the Portuguese did to the Congolese and to the Ethiopians and Spain and Portugal is utterly disgusting. So a lot of times people don't want to hear that. They don't like the truth. And so, sometimes you got to just keep pounding it in like a hammer because this is my space. This is my world. And so in my world, I like to edify sometimes. Because in my world, when I'm living my life, I hear people all the time say, oh, Africa, you're a smart African American. Oh, you're not dumb. Like, I've heard people say you're not dumb like the other ones. I'm telling you. So sometimes I got to educate people. I'd rather be playing video games and smoking weed and everybody holding hands and hugging each other and not trees. But, I I actually prefer hugging trees if you get that metaphor. So, I just wanted to get on here and talk for a little bit and see what was going on and see what's going on with the people. And I know it's kind of late, but I've been a night owl for a long time now, actually. It seems more peaceful at night, less stress. It's like a whole world on the other side of the world. Like in a world where everything's busy during the day and there's all this hustle and bustle. Now you're up at night and it's just like peace. You know what I mean? But to anybody living in big cities, I'm sorry about what y'all got to go through because I used to live in Chicago. I'm from Chicago. And I witnessed a drive-by when I was a little kid. I can't remember if I was 2 or 3. And I just heard all these gunshots. This dude said, get down. He ran past, and the mama threw me to the ground, and it was bop, 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 bop. So, yeah, I like a lot of the smaller towns, rural areas, because it's less stuff going on. But then you have a whole nother battle to deal with sometimes in those smaller areas. Because in the smaller areas, you really don't got no resources. And so you kind of have to deal with the small towns way of life, if you will. And a lot of people that go out there to them small towns, the character of that person is totally different later on in life. A lot of times they become hardcore conservatives, super right-wing. They end up hating everybody that's like immigrants or people of color. Now, I say usually because not everybody's like this. I don't even like attacking the right wing because then I feel like it creates movements and then they try to retaliate. Because I feel like the right wing is destroying itself. Some of the stuff they're saying about Kamala, like grown men calling women camel toe and stuff like that, and they're talking about she was on her knees to get her position. This is the funny thing about that. She's an attorney general, so she's a lawyer, an intelligent one at that. I don't know if y'all know what an attorney general is. They asked Trump to debate her, and he declined. But you guys have to understand he did that because dude is a reality TV star. He is a failed businessman. I think I heard somebody say he got $200 million inherited to him, and he squandered it all, and they had to go to somebody for loans, the Russian government or Russian oligarchs and businessmen. So, I've looked into his businesses and multiple of his businesses have gone bankrupt. So, in a world where I've never had money and been afloat, and this dude has hundreds of millions and tears it off, how are they calling him a good businessman? So, I feel like it's because of his rhetoric. He's talking about make America great again. And if you're from America and you're a person of color here, because I'm seeing all these African-American YouTubers come out, and they're saying, we didn't know about redlining, we didn't know about this, we didn't know about that, we didn't know about none of this stuff. And it's like, holy fuck, I didn't even realize my mom and dad taught me a lot of shit. And then my cousins and all us, we was like, the African-American community. And I had the internet. So even people that's older, they didn't have the internet and stuff like we did. They had to actually go research things and had to go look for them. So I guess I'm really in a blessed time in life right now. That's why I don't try to stay. That's why I don't try to be depressed. Because yeah, a lot of bad stuff's going on, but it makes me stronger. I grew up in a house where the lights was off all the time, and it was constant trouble, and we was from the housing community and stuff. So when bad stuff happens now, I'm used to it. Like, I don't know, it made me stronger. And so, I just wanted to get that out there. Europe, I suggest y'all stop fucking playing, because what y'all are doing right now is utterly ridiculous. Kick all the black people out of Europe. And then what makes me mad is they're calling it far right wing movement, and the government's talking about we'll make arrests and stuff. But when you look at the police dealing with them, they're like, oh, playing a game of back and forth. I didn't throw nothing. I didn't throw nothing. Get away from me, copper. But you see what I'm saying? And they're talking about kicking people out the country. That's hate speech. That's racism. That could lead to terrorism. But do you think they're going to get on the news? I didn't see nothing on the news talking about this. You think they're going to get on the news calling Europeans terrorists for doing stuff like this? But if this was African Americans, Black Lives Matter is trying to give people equal rights, and they're seen as terrorists. These people out in Europe right now are called far right wingers, and they're literally talking about destroying and kicking people out of Europe. It's like a mind fuck. So y'all see what happened to Hitler, man. I don't know how many times this needs to happen before y'all understand. And Trump is separation between church and state. So you can't be a Christ and be I don't know where this is coming from. And then you're selling Bibles. Son of a German immigrant being lobbied by APOC, right? The man who taught Hitler was Erich Johann von Neusen, a Jewish man. History is repeating itself. Go look into Project 2025 if you think I'm joking. How can there be a constitution and then a Project 2025? Those concepts bump. So, you know what I mean? Just continue to be aware and understand y'all surroundings, because what Europe is doing right now, I would not exemplify that type of behavior if I was you. If you pay attention to even what a lot of Caucasians are doing now, they're attacking the generation before, talking about slavery was bad, J. Edgar Hoover was bad, Roosevelt and all them. Some people are still talking about they love Ronald Reagan and all these other people. Ronald Reagan is on camera recording, talking about kill the monkeys and blacks are monkeys and all this other stuff. It's like, how do y'all advocate for these people? They'll say Abraham Lincoln. If you really read about Abraham Lincoln, he said out of his own mouth. It's not hidden. So why would y'all put in a curriculum that he wanted to free all the slaves and he was a freedom fighter? But then I go read his bios out of his own writing, and it says he didn't give a fuck about the blacks. He hoped that they would still say slaves and whites were better. He did it for political reasons. Y'all got me, say, can you praising the national anthem? Go read the lyrics to the national anthem. The real lyrics. So I tell y'all, if you're the type of person, you want to be an artist or a singer, or you're getting money making videos, doing all this stuff, don't let nobody tell you what you have to do. Live your life, be happy, and do what you want to do. As long as you're not murdering, stealing, harming, causing harm, and doing all of that stuff. Because the same atheists that say they hate religion, now go ask them if they follow the 10 Commandments. They don't put no gods before them. They don't worship no gods. They don't want to kill or steal, or they don't think adultery is okay. I bet you they like their parents, and if they don't, I bet you they won't harm them. I bet you they want a day of the week off. Keep the day of rest holy. It's all just a bunch of rhetoric, so enjoy your lives, stay beautiful, and continue to stay humble, the ones that are humble. And if you see like homeless people on the corner and all this, I'm not saying you got to give them money, but if you got a bunch of money and you want to give them $1, you're not bad either. You know what I mean? Just start to help people, because imagine yourself being in that same situation with nowhere to go. You would at least want somebody to come get you a cheeseburger or $1, son. So, you know what I'm saying? Just live your life and stay blessed. And if anybody ever got questions or anything, or y'all want to ask me any, because y'all can ask me anything about the Bible. Whatever you want to ask, do you have a Bible question, God question, any religion, ask me. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to strike y'all or harm y'all. They put a lot of stuff in that Bible that scares the living crap out of people. So anytime somebody does say they're doing something and there's validity to it, people get scared. So like I told y'all, If I say I'm the angel of death, the leper, the Messiah, all those stuff, that means I'm destroying and killing concepts, teachings, not people. The reason why the revelations and all this religion is confusing is because when you deal with stuff like raptures and all this other stuff, the ends, it's not about killing people or harming people. If it's a spiritual world, if it's a spiritual matrix, that means he goes in and takes away from the spiritual darkness so that we can see clearly and just live life. Nobody's getting beheaded and all that other stuff. It's just violence. The Messiah had to die. He had to be killed. They're saying they wanted somebody to be murdered. Crosses on our necks. But if a rapper goes around talking about guns and has a gun on his neck, he's a murderer. Come on, dude. You got to see through it. You got to live through it. And you got to be aware. Or you don't have to do anything. So, live y'all lives and stay blessed.